this video, we're going to configure our photo uploader. Now, I'm going to paste in all the configuration code, and I actually recommend that you do it as well. You'll have access to it through the GitHub repository for the course, and the reason is you can see it's a good 64 lines of code, and I'm going to walk through each one of these so that you know what they do, but typing it all from scratch, this would have been a pretty long video and a waste of time watching me instead of actually seeing what these items did. So the very first thing is bringing in the Carrierwave extension of Minimagic. This is going to give you the ability to do things like resizing images or doing any of the things that are available to you through Minimagic. And by including this module, this is all available to you in this class. Next thing is including this Sprockets Rails helper. This is just works for handling the Rails asset pipeline. Nothing really you're going to have to do on this side. It just makes these items available to the class. Next, if you remember from the last video, we had storage set to file. Now we have storage set to fog, and the reason for this is because fog is what gives us our connectivity between our application and AWS, and so that AWS API is going to let us upload images and manage those remotely and do lots of fun stuff for us. So this is switched over to fog now. For the storage directory, it still is going to do uploads, and then it takes in a number of different parameters. And what this does is it essentially is ensuring that no two files are ever going to be named the same thing. It even is going to have an ID at the end. So this is just ensuring that what the naming structure is going to be, and you don't really have to typically make many changes to this. The only time I ever change this is when I do upload something that has to be stored locally, and I have to make sure that all the necessary things are used for that. But since we're using AWS, you can just keep the default right here. Then what I integrated here are two neat things available to us from Minimagic, and what they are resized versions of the file. So when you upload the file, it can be any size you want. But Minimagic also gives us the option to access other sizes. So I created tiny and profile size. So profile size being 300 pixels by 300 pixels, tiny being kind of like a thumbnail, 20 by 20. And so this is available to us. We're using the built-in method called resize to fill. And so when we do this, we're able to bring this in and set the file sizes to anything we want, and then we can just call tiny or profile size onto it, and that size will automatically be rendered, which is a really neat way of doing it, and something a reason why I love using Minimagic. And then the last item in here is just our whitelist, because we don't want people to be uploading anything and treating it like an image. So because any file could technically be uploaded. You could upload a JavaScript file here, you could upload a Ruby file, a text file, anything like that, but then you're going to have a lot of errors when you try to turn that into a picture. So what I put in here is JPEG, so both versions of it, then a GIF, and then a PNG. And these are the only ones we're going to allow. If there are any files that try to get uploaded that are not here, it's just going to render an error to the user, and then they'll have to upload the correct file. Neat thing about this is if you ever want to upload things, say not for a photo uploader, but for a file uploader, you can actually change this. So we could do something like this, and say you wanted it to be files and like something like invoices or something. You could do JPEG, you could do PDF, you could do text, you could do anything like that. And it's a really cool way of being able to build in your validations right here. And also, if you've never seen this syntax, this %W parentheses and all of this right here, this is actually just a really neat way and some syntactic sugar for setting up an array. So not to get off topic, but if I jumped into a IRB console right here, and if I set up an array the normal way, say doing something like 1 2, 3. This is an array, obviously. However, what if I did this? What if I did %w and then I did 1, 2, 3? You can see it's the exact same thing, except one different case is because I put this w, it actually renders these out as strings. So that's the reason why I was able to, right here, do %w and put these items in here. These all get converted to strings when this gets rendered out. So if you've never seen that syntax before, that's what it does. So now just integrate this. Feel free to copy it from the GitHub repo, paste it in. One thing to make sure, if you are calling this something other than photo uploader, make sure you don't copy the entire file and then forget that this is what you called it, because this name is very important. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to show how to actually build the uploader into the model itself.